I'd like to call to order the March 7th meeting of the Fraser Zoning Board of Appeals. Ask you to join me with the pledge for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lauren, can you do roll call for me, please?
Board Member Burley,
Present.
Board Member Chimenti, Chair Farina,
Present.
Board Member Goodell,
Present.
Board Member Menendez.
Present.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to excuse Joe Chimenti. His brother passed away, and he is at the funeral home. So, can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, agenda. I'd like to make a couple of changes to the agenda. I would like to take the interview candidates from 9A and 9B and move them up to 8A and 8, in front of 8A, or 7A. Okay? And item number C under 9 is deleted. It's a duplication. Okay.
Where are you putting 9 again?
A and B above 7A,
Okay.
under public hearing. Is that all right?
Yes, what is your intention for 9D?
That would be last.
Okay. Just want to clarify.
There. Okay. All right. So we have two candidates to interview first. And,
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
yes,
We need a motion to amend the agenda.
I'm sorry. I moved to amend the agenda. Is there a second?
Yes, I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay. All right, so we will go like gentlemen. Emma, ladies first.
Chair.
Mr.
Chair, the minutes right before.
Oh, you can stay right there, Emma. All right, approval of the minutes from the January 18th meeting. Are there any corrections or changes to the minutes? Anybody have any corrections or changes to the minutes? Having heard none, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now. Emma.
Mr. Chair, I believe the formal statement is the next on the agenda.
Emma, just sit down. I am completely out of order. Excuse me. Petitioners and members of the audience, the Zoning Board of Appeals, as herein created, is a body of limited powers. Where there is practical difficulties or unnecessary hardships in the way of carrying out the strict letter of the Fraser Code, the board shall have the power in passing upon appeals to vary or modify any of the provisions of the code relating to the construction, structural changes in equipment, or alteration of buildings or structures so that the spirit of the code shall be observed, public safety secured, and substantial justice done. No variance in the provisions or requirements of the code shall be authorized by the board unless the board finds in evidence that all of the following facts and conditions exist. 1, there are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question as to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties in the same zoning district. 2, the variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of a substantial property right similar to that is possessed by other properties in the same district and in the same vicinity. The possibility of increased financial return shall not of itself be deemed sufficient to warrant a variance. 3, that authorizing such variance shall not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the intent and the purpose of the Fraser Code or the public interest. 4, that the condition or situation of the specific piece of property or the intended use of the property for which the variance is sought is not of so general or recurrent in nature as to make it reasonable, practicable, in the formulation of general regulations for such a condition or situation. Having said that, I think I can now, with council's approval, Emma, you're getting a lot of exercise.
Third time's a charm.
Yes, Roseanne.
I don't know if this is for Haley or for you, Mr. Chair. Since we have 2 candidates, are we going to interview and then vote on them separately as we take them? Or what do you think would be the appropriate way to handle that?
I think as you take them would probably be best.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Emma, can you give us a little background on yourself?
Hi, my name is Emma Stasek. I moved to Fraser in 2015, and recently my husband and I purchased a home that will be in forever, for all intents and purposes. I first had an introduction to this opportunity at a planning commission meeting where Sheets presented a proposal for, rezoning and, provided some public comment. I just really am eager to have a positive impact on this community since I am now very committed to it and plan to spend the rest of my days here. I work for the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. So, I'm also excited to kind of make some of those connections for Fraser as well. So like really kind of making my foray into quasi-government as well as regular government, it would appear. Prior to the MEDC, I guess informing that career, I have a background in civil engineering with an emphasis in structures from Michigan Tech University. I obviously haven't really followed that through and kind of have meandered into other areas, but I think my ability to read plans and understand codes will be, well received by a body such as yours, as well as, my connections to other governments. So thank you very much.
Are you currently, or have you ever served on any other boards in Fraser?
I have not, no.
Have you ever had any cases before the ZBA,
No,
either in Fraser or any other city?
nope.
You can, obviously, you're a civil engineer, you can read blueprints, both commercial and residential.
Yes.
Are you able to visit properties for ZBA applicants?
Yes,
Okay, because we do kind of pride ourselves on doing that, so you actually know, boots on the ground, what, we found some very interesting things as we go out in the community.
understood.
Can you attend all the normally held meetings on the first Thursday of each month?
Yes,
Okay. And the alternate is the third Monday? Is it Monday, third Monday?
I think it's still Thursday.
Thursday? No, I don't think it is.
It's usually like the 18th. So it's usually the third. I thought it was the third Thursday, but
I don't have my book today.
I didn't bring it either. Anyway, there's an alternate on the third.
Understood.
We'll get you a copy of the, of our schedule.
It should be online.
What do you want to see in Fraser 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I would like to see Fraser have movement in the direction of something that makes Fraser a little bit more distinctive from surrounding communities. A more vibrant downtown district, I think, would be great, as well as, attention to things like drainage, better infrastructure with regard to parking, things like that. I also would like to see the community a little bit more, I would like to see the community be more involved in what's happening within the community, and I'd like to facilitate, ways for other community members who may not be in local government to, feel comfortable in expressing their voice.
Do you think Fraser is big enough to maintain being a city for the long run?
I think if we make the right choices, we can do a lot with a little.
In your job, I think you have to look out in the future, and that's basically what we have to do here and on the Planning Commission.
Yes.
Look out in the future of where we want to go and down the line, and keep that in mind. We have committed to a 5-year plan, a master plan, and we're trying to begin to implement that. And so that should be, if you do get recommended for this, you should look that over and become familiar with that.
I-
It's online or.
Definitely planned on it.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions? Yes, Roseanne.
Emma, are you familiar with the city ordinances? Have you ever had a reason to go in and look up ordinances or
No,
how
I
they're
have not.
applied? Okay. And you wouldn't have any problems maneuvering through that?
No.
Yes.
We just want to follow up. It is the third Thursday is the alternate.
Thursday. Okay. Well, I'm batting 1,000 tonight. Okay. All right. No other questions? Mr. Burley, anybody? Well, okay. Thank you. We appreciate you putting yourself out and doing that.
Thank
So,
you.
are we supposed
I just forgot to turn it off. Although, we have a joint training if you get recommended on Monday, March 11th, so next Monday at 6:30 in council chambers, if you can make that.
even, it's an open meeting. It's it's an open thing. If anybody's interested in coming, you can come, watch.
It's at 6:30, correct?
Correct. Starts at 6:30. Yes, sir, Mr. Burley.
oh, well, are you done with the?
Yes.
Okay, well, I just wanted to say, your resume is quite impressive. I think you do an excellent job. So I'd like to make a motion, if that's okay, Mr. Chair, to recommend Emma to the City Council for the appointment of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I'll second.
Okay. Lauren, can I have a roll call, please?
Board Member Burley?
Yes.
Chair Farina?
Yes.
Board Member Goodell?
Yes.
Board Member Menendez?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know whether it's going to be on this month's agenda, where you can get it to the building department and the city clerk can get it on the agenda this month?
Yeah, I'll touch base with the clerk. I don't think there'll be an issue with it.
But she will call you then to be sworn in? Okay? Not sworn at, sworn in.
I look forward to it. I mean, both have happened, so.
Okay. Next up, last but not least, Mr. Green. Patrick, good to see you again.
See you again. Good evening. My name's Patrick Green. I moved to this city in 2021 with my fiance, and we had been looking for a while, and the housing market had been crazy the last few years, and we had a friend that lived in Fraser and showed us a house around the corner and kind of fell in love with it and fell in love with the neighborhood, and it's kind of became the place that we plan on, raising our children and being here for the long haul. I come from a family who's always been well-rooted in serving the community. My father was in City of Warren politics pretty much my entire life, so it's just been something that I've always been around and something that's always been a part of my life. And now that I've lived here long enough and met the residential requirements, it's been something that I've always wanted to do. And since the opening kind of came up, that's kind of why I took the choice to apply and hopefully serve my community.
Cool. You've told us how long you've lived in Fraser. You haven't ever served on any other boards in Fraser or any other city?
No, I have not.
Have you ever appeared in front of the zoning board or had a dispute with the zoning board?
No.
Reading prints, can you read commercial and residential prints?
I cannot. I haven't done it before, but it's something that I'm willing to learn, and I pick up things very quickly when I set my mind to it. I kind of get very into the details and pick things up very quickly.
Okay. I think that's fair. Same question, can you attend the meetings on Thursday?
Yes.
First Thursday of the month and the third Thursday of the month?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, cool. Now, can you go out and visit these sites? Because we kind of pride ourselves on going out and visiting the sites to have a boots on the ground, kind of real look at the property and what's being asked for.
Yeah, I have a very flexible work schedule, so I can, work from home when need be and visit sites. Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem.
And what is your vision for the city in 5, 10 years?
I think the thing that Fraser does well, or can do well, is, have the size of the city really gives us the opportunity to make a lot of changes I think larger municipalities don't. And I think really prioritizing that this is a nice little hidden gem in the area where families can come, raise a family and have a nice quiet living. And I think improving walkability of the city, improving city parks, and the general improvements that we've been seeing over the last few years with the Utica corridor, I think is great. If we can see something like that continuing along with 14 and Garfield and moving north up that way, I think that's really gonna help the city stand out and attract more families to come to the city, because with our size, our biggest revenue draw is going to be property taxes. So, I mean, if we can raise the value of the properties in our communities and attract more families to move in here, then it's going to allow us to continue staying an independent city and not have to rely on another larger municipality.
Okay. Yes, Mark. Mr. Burley.
One of the things we do here is we try to take the code and then make exceptions for reasons. And the reason is usually a hardship of why you're coming before us that goes with the land. So what I'm saying is up here, sometimes you want to, yes, approve it because you want to be nice, but you can't because you're not showing proof that there's a hardship of the land, or the property, that you have to make the decision from. So could you come up here and somebody gives you a sob story and can't show a hardship, and then be able to say, no, I'm sorry, you can't get it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we need to be impartial and look at both sides of the coin, and if it doesn't make sense, we can't just, let somebody tug on your heartstrings. You have to be able to firmly tell somebody, no, it doesn't apply to the ordinance that we have, and sometimes you have to be the bad guy.
Actually, the state says 80% of the time we should be the bad guy, is what they say. But it, as we discussed last night, being on the ZBA is giving people the right to break the law, okay? It's not bend the law, it's break the law, and there has to be a reason to break the law. And that reason has to run with it, because the decision we make, and I'm sure, I didn't say this to you, but runs with the land in perpetuity. So once you make that decision, you can't go back and say, I can unmake that. It's very hard to do that. So just keep that in mind. Are there any other questions for the candidate? Yes, Ms. Menendez.
Oh, your familiarity with the ordinances, how is that?
I've recently started looking at them. I'm sure with time, I'll gain more knowledge of them, but it's something that I planned on over the weekend, kind of getting my hands familiar with, and reading through legal text isn't something that I'm unfamiliar with, so I don't think I would have an issue with it.
Do you have any business interests in Fraser or anything that would create a conflict of interest in your decision-making?
On the docket tonight, the Fraser Coatings zoning ordinance, I'm 50% owner of that, but I'm withdrawing from any conversations regarding any use ordinance change.
So you're 50% owner in exactly what?
Of the tonight's docket with Trevor Tuller.
In the business?
Yes, in the
You're
business.
referring to?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
Any other questions? Anybody? You have any questions for us?
No.
Okay. All right. I'll take a motion. Nobody else, I'd like to move to recommend Mr. Green to the city council for membership on this board.
I'll second.
All right. Can you give me a roll call, please?
Board Member Burley?
Yes.
Chair Farina?
Yes.
Board Member Goodell?
Yes.
Board Member Menendez?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, now, under public hearings, variance request of Trevor Tuller to obtain a use variance from the zoning ordinance standards to allow a powder coating business which is allowed in the industrial district, IR, in the community business district. Hi, again,
Hello. Great to see you again, Mr. Farina.
yes. Lauren, would you take us through this, please?
Sure.
Shouldn't we give a formal statement?
That's what I'm asking.
Not the formal statement, the one of the board.
No.
Okay.
All set?
Yes.
Oh, sure. So the applicant is proposing to open a powder coating business in the community business district behind Schatz Market. I'll pull up a map on the screen. The use is an industrial use. We classify as the manufacture, compounding, assembly, or improvement of articles or merchandise from the following previously prepared materials: canvas, cellophane, cloth, cork, feathers, felt, fiber, fur, glass, hair, leather, paper, plastics, precious or semi-precious metals or stones, shells, textiles, tobacco, wax, wire, wood, and yarns, or other such similar materials as approved by the Planning Commission. And so these uses are not permitted in the community business district, which is why the variance is being requested. Another item to note is that I believe my report does have it wrong. I was misinformed, but it actually, the 2/3 of the board refers to the full board, so 5 votes are actually needed for a use variance to pass. So when reviewing against the conditions for variances, on the first one, that there's exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question, or as to the intended use of the property that don't apply generally to other properties in the same zoning district. We note a couple of things. It's not a typical building. It was originally for storage. It is irregular. There's not many uses that could be used in this structure. Again, though it should be noted that the intended use of the structure wasn't for any particular use. It was an accessory building. It also is on a very odd parcel. You can see the parcel on the screen. It kind of zigzags, so it's in that back corner. Regarding the variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of a substantial property right, like that possessed by other properties in the same vicinity. The possibility of increased financial return shall not itself be deemed enough to warrant a variance. I guess similarly, the building is a bit unique in the community business district, and it's been vacant to our knowledge. So the variance would help fill it, but again, it is an accessory building. It wasn't intended for its own use, or originally intended to be leased. Regarding the third item, the authorizing such variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent property and will not materially impair the intent or purpose of this chapter of public interest. So the applicant has indicated that the use of the building will not generate excessive noise or smell, that it's also a process that's non-hazardous and extremely safe. Planning notes the proximity of the residential buildings along the rear lot line, which may cause nuisance. Additionally, the building official provided the following comments that, from the description, this is an accessory building to Schatz Market. The proposed use is F1 per Michigan Building Code. And then he noticed residential, single-family adjacent, and then he also has concerns about the hours of operation, potential noise or odors, any work being done outside of the building, and material storage. Additionally, public safety also provided the following comments, that since the business will involve use of oven, that the International Fire Code that covers industrial ovens, that it potentially might have to meet certain, or it has to meet certain fireproofing standards. The extent of that would have to depend on the class of oven, that they're not entirely sure what class of oven it is. And then finally, regarding the conditions or situation of a specific piece of property or intended use of the property for which the variance is sought is not so general or recurrent in nature that it will create a general rule for such condition or situation. Again, we don't foresee this becoming a general rule, as there aren't many buildings in the community business district like this building. And then both E and F are not applicable, as the Planning Commission didn't sponsor it, and there's no phasing from this. In summary, looking at all of the findings of fact, and with the understanding that the variances do run with the land and that any powder coating business would be allowed in that district, and the intent of the community business district, planning's recommendation would be to deny.
Okay. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Lauren?
Correct me if I'm wrong, that there was a statement made in terms of, in their statement about it only being used for industrial. It could only be used for industrial, the parcel, but if it's in a CBD district currently, it does allow for anything in OS or CN, providing it passed planning approval recommendation. A use could go into that accessory building or outbuilding.
A use could go into it. I doubt that they would, just based on the configuration. It doesn't.
Right, the configuration of it.
Windows or
But
anything,
in terms of that, a CBD would allow him uses in OS or in CN, if they could meet all the other
Yes.
qualifications.
Yes, they would pass the zoning use, and then it'd have to go for the rest of the certificate of
Correct.
occupancy through the inspections. I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Trevor, can you take a seat? I'm going to open up the public hearing now if anybody wants to speak. All right. We're opening up the public hearing on the, right here. To obtain a use variance from the zoning ordinance standards to allow powder coating business, which is allowed in the industrial IR in a community business district. Is there anybody from the public that wants to be heard? Anybody? Nobody wants to be heard? Okay, I'm going to bring it back up to the board, close the public hearing and bring it back up to the board. Okay, Haley? We're okay? All right. I have a couple questions then, Lauren. This is going to be taken from an S storage building to a manufacturing building. When you do that, that's a big change in zoning, is it not?
Storage is an accessory use usually, so it's kind of,
Right.
yeah, hard to say, so.
So I have a question. Is there a bathroom in there? Is there?
It doesn't appear from the, oh, there is? Okay.
Yes, there's a bathroom in there.
Can you identify yourself for the record?
My name is Trevor Tuller. I am co-owner of the business Fraser Coatings. And yes, there is a bathroom in there. There is a toilet and a sink, completely walled off and separated from the inside or whatever. It's like right next to the stairs there. And I did want to hopefully clarify a few things that were in the report and at least provide a little bit more insight because there were a couple of questions from like building officials that I wanted to answer.
Okay.
I know that there was concerns about hours of operation and basically doing business outside. Everything is done within the confines of the structure itself, so there is nothing to come in or out as far as like doing things in the parking lot or in the back lot where there's storage. Everything's done inside of the building, shut and sealed. Everything should be relatively quiet. The only thing that is needed intermittently is an air compressor, which creates about 80 decibels from 6 feet away. This is the equivalent of a blender in your house, which would be inside of the unit itself and completely bricked off and not heard from outside. As far as the oven goes itself, this is a electric convection oven, so it doesn't fall into the classifications of the commercial like oven classifications that the fire marshal had questions on, because it's not like a fuel source fire. It's a large oven just like in your house. And in fact, this oven is what's called a curing oven. So it's not meant to go very hot. It only ever gets to about 400 degrees, and the stuff that's in there is only in for about 10 minutes. So it's not like a multi-thousand degree, like really big, ridiculous commercial oven. This one itself is professionally built by Light Armor Ovens in Illinois, so built in America with galvanized steel, uses rock wool insulation, and is fire resistant to over 1,000 degrees Celsius. All of the rest of the concerns with chemicals or any other things that need to be on site, no chemicals are used in the process. Powder itself has no volatile organic compounds in it, and there's no solvents like paint. The most that we're really going to be using is Simple Green as a degreaser to clean the parts before the powder can adhere to them, which is a biodegradable degreaser. Pretty sure those were all of the questions that they had, other than as far as storage for materials and everything, it would be absolutely up to code. It's the only thing that we really have to store is powders, which is either in bags or in bottles. off to the side in a safe manner. But other than that, there's not going to be like things outside the place. We're not going to be working outside of it. There's not going to be stuff strewn in the back. It's mainly just a inside operation doing light coating that is more geared towards the creative side of powder coating rather than the industrial application for it. Because there's a lot of stuff that you can do for powder coating that is, more of the industrial side of it. And what we're looking to do more is like color change and like customizations for like vehicle parts and stuff that is more on the creative spectrum of things.
Okay. Ms. Menendez.
Okay, which was my question, was exactly what were you powder coating? And when you do pull these parts off of the vehicle to powder coat them, what are you doing with the vehicle at the time?
So we're not going to be operating in a fashion that we are going to be pulling things off of anything. We are in a fashion that you hand us the part already pulled off of the vehicle or, completely separated. So we're not a disassembly shop by any means. We are purely just a sandblast and powder coat.
Okay, so you'll be storing nothing on site in that yard?
In the yard, there will be some personal things stored there. I have a little trailer that I take dirt biking. I've got a topper for my truck that probably doesn't want to be seen in the yards of Fraser. Eventually, I want to get a classic car or two. But as far as like equipment or like stuff like that, no.
And there's zero fumes?
No fumes.
No fumes
No fumes.
will be emitted?
No fumes.
And lastly, it said that place has been vacant for 2 years, yet I've seen work going on there. As I've gone through CVS to pick up scripts more times than I recount, I've seen vehicles out there, taped, they almost look like maybe they're in a primer.
That has nothing.
But there was a business running out of there.
I wouldn't know about it. It wasn't my
Okay, so
business.
you've conducted no business in that accessory building
No.
whatsoever?
Never.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Goodell.
Or
I
Burley?
just leased the place last.
Is, oh, I'm,
Okay, that was the answer. Okay, you
Sorry.
just leased it last month?
Just last month.
And you've never performed any work out of there?
Never.
Okay, thank you.
is this a full-time business,
No.
or is it more,
It's more of like a passion project of mine. I like to build like motorcycles and cars on the side as well. And I've actually needed powder coaters to do like the cool colors and do the more like intricate creative stuff. And anything around here was always either horrible quality, turnaround time was bad, or they had like 4 colors to choose from. And we have like 6,000. So I kind of got sick of it and thought like there's a nice hole in the market here to, help out and find some really cool designs and make some cool projects. This is something where I'm going to work on it like nights and weekends, not excessively late. Again, we're not really making noise anyways, but we wouldn't be there grinding out late or anything. It is more of a side project though. Yes.
I guess I got a question. You said you signed the lease last month.
Yes.
Why would you sign the lease before you got approval?
That's a great question, Mark. So this is my first small business that I've ever started. And my first introduction into government, this was my first time looking for a place as well and like trying to find a commercial building. I actually was searching for like over 2 months, pretty much every day, talking to other people, calling things, and there's not much out there. And when I found this, it's a half mile from my house. It seemed perfect. And originally, when we looked into this, we ran into issues that it was going to be an issue with the zoning itself. I then wanted to back out and like wanted to try to find something else because I didn't want to have to like jump through hoops for this kind of thing. But eventually, we were contacted back by our agent that what we were going to be doing was going to be fine. And like again, I've been researching so many things, but there's certain paths you can go down, you find the right answers, certain paths you don't go down, or you go down and you find the wrong answers. I genuinely thought that they knew what they were talking about and said that we were going to be good to go. And I was like, okay, this sounds great. I'm excited. This is right by my house. I love Fraser. And signed the lease. And then all of a sudden, I paid to do the certificate of occupancy, thinking this is going to be fine. I'm taken care of. I know what I'm doing, I think. Submitted it, came back denied. And and then realized that this actually still does all apply. So it was not the way that I wanted it to go, and if I had known, I wouldn't have. But I love the spot, and I love the area, and I named my company Fraser Coatings. I live in Fraser. It's nice being as close as it is, so it was worth putting a little bit of extra effort to try to help, as well as like find a use for this building for something that's other than, if there like other stuff that was going on, at least this would be nice and closed off and not.
Because one of the things we have to figure out is what the hardship is.
Yes. The hardship that I spelled out in the approval itself was the fact that at this point in the way that the building exists, it doesn't need to be there for storage anymore. And for Schatz Market itself, the building is vacant. And there's not really anything else that they could imagine putting in there. They had it on the market for a while, trying to find someone to rent it. And as far as the hardship goes, it's a hardship on the parcel itself because, I mean, as far as like an industrial setting, other than the storage aspect of it, there's not really anything else that can go on there as far as like a customer-facing business or any kind of like just that kind of business in general, something that actually would be in the CBD.
Ms. Menendez?
Last question. Did you research anything in the industrial district at all? Because there's that whole area over on 15.
Months of calling and talking to hundreds of different people that have different things for rent. It was funny too, yesterday when I interviewed for a position on the other board, the Board of,
Planning Commission.
yeah, the Planning Commission, sorry. They started talking about signs. And I wanted to chime in about, like, man, all these different industrial places, they all have signs out that say for lease. None of them have anything for lease. They leave that sign up 24/7, 365, and just take lists of people that are interested, and as soon as it's available, they just let it go.
So nothing, huh?
So there's nothing available up there. There's nothing available even when we get into Clinton Township. There's nothing available even going into, like, the closest thing that I was able to find was, like, West Warren, which was like a 30-minute drive from the house, which it was also different. It was not as ideal or as, I don't know, just as close to me. The half a mile is really nice.
Any other questions? Anybody? I have a question. What do you do with the overspray?
So powder coat isn't a painting type. It comes out of like a paint style gun, but it is like it's like a fine powder. So the equivalent of like if you have a
Yes.
like powdered sugar on a pancake. That's kind of how it comes out the gun. So what we have is a small, like, it's like a paint booth, but we're not painting in it, and the powder is going to collect at the bottom, where you can actually collect it and reuse it again because it's just powder.
How are you going to protect yourself?
Every possible way.
Wow.
We've got I've got those like suits and whatnot that you can put to keep it off your clothes. I mean, it's not like it's unsafe or anything, but you don't want to get dirty. And I've got respirators because you definitely don't want to, anything that's a powder, you don't want to breathe it in. Even flour and sugar, you don't want to breathe it. So I've got respirators, I've got
What's the
goggles.
carcinogenic agent within powder coating? Because I used to run it. And I looked it up just before this meeting, and it says that powder coating has a carcinogenic agent. So wherever you do or whatever comes out, just be aware of that for your own good.
I appreciate it. It's something that I definitely want to double check on then, because some of the powders that I found shouldn't.
Okay. Here's the bad news. Mr. Chimenti's brother died. It requires 5 votes for this kind of a variance, okay? We cannot vote on this tonight, all right? And this is a big change in what is required for that. A similar request came out of this very location for an auto repair shop back there and that was denied. Okay? So I can't speak how the board will vote, but when we have our fifth person here, Mr. Goodell has just accepted a different job, and he's resigned, so when we have 5 people on the board, Mr. Chimenti is back after his brother's funeral, and, you know, the other 2 people come on, you're going to have 5 people vote yes, okay? And so I'm sorry to hold you up, but the circumstances are, we're going to have to postpone any action on this.
Understood.
Am I, that's correct, right here?
That is correct. The
She's the
Zoning
attorney.
Enabling Act requires 2/3 votes of the members of the board, as well as, it's also in the zoning ordinance as well. And that would be taken from, there are technically 7 spots, 7 members, so that would require 5 votes.
Okay,
Okay.
so, Ms. Menendez?
Oh, I was going to wait for you to finish that and then ask the applicant if he was willing to postpone.
Well, he has no choice.
Correct. Or you have a choice. You can either postpone or just withdraw. So he has 2 options. So,
I would like to postpone.
okay. May I make a motion? I'd like to make a motion to postpone ZBA variance 24-01, requested by Trevor Tuller to obtain a use variance from zoning ordinance standards to allow a powder coating business which is allowed in the industrial district IR in the community business CBD. We would like to postpone this into our next meeting date. If you can give me that exact meeting date, please.
Pull up the calendar. April 4th.
Would like to postpone this variance until April 4th, and note that the public hearing has already taken place today, so we don't officially, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, we don't officially have to have a public hearing then, do we?
No.
Mr. Burley?
I got a comment on that, though, because doesn't she have to be affirmed by city council prior to being on the board? So it probably will not happen before the next meeting. Or will it?
Well, we're on the first Thursday, hypothetically, if they could get it on the agenda. And there again, too, if we find out that she's not seated, we can just postpone it again, and because we don't need, and correct me where I'm wrong, because we don't need a open meeting, we can just transfer it over and we don't have to notice, correct?
That is correct. Public notice does not need to go out since the public meeting was open, or public hearing was open today. And I do believe in the past, Cindy has been able to place applicants on, because I know city council, I believe, is
Right.
1 week from today.
Yes.
I believe in the past, she has been able to place them on the agenda for that following city council meeting. Obviously, I can't speak for, I don't know what's on the agenda next week, but I think that's been the practice in the past.
Maybe not when she's gone.
But at the end of the, I mean, we can put them on here. And if
Yes.
we don't have the full board because they can't get approved, then we can notify you and we just postpone it. At least you're on the agenda.
Okay.
I'll second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Board Member Burley?
Yes.
Chair Farina?
Yes.
Board Member Goodell?
Yes.
Board Member Menendez?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Sorry for that. Can't control death. Next is annual planning and zoning report.
Thank you, Chair. So this annual planning and zoning report is, it's already gone to Planning Commission, and they have recommended it for, to be submitted to City Council as long as the zoning board also recommends that tonight. So the Michigan Planning and Enabling Act requires that the Planning Commission submit a report of its activities annually. In Fraser, we also include zoning in that. We feel that they're pretty interconnected, so we've also have the zoning board and their variances granted, the appeals, development reviews. We also added some details from the day-to-day zoning administration, such as the permits, as well as items that, as well as enforcements. 480 enforcements were issued last year. Items that I frequently get planning questions on are duplexes, driveway expansion, marijuana retailers, and food trucks. The more important part of this report is actually, though, the 2024 work plan. So this is outlining just projects that the Planning Commission, and then some of these might even extend into the zoning board, might want to undertake in the upcoming year. So we've got the establishment of a downtown development authority, business attraction and retention efforts, implementation of new districts to kind of implement the master plan as Chair Farina was mentioning earlier, continuing to develop and maintain the city's sidewalk network. Additionally, the ordinance updates. We're currently working through our sign ordinance in the Planning Commission. Some of this we might toss around to the zoning board, because the zoning board, there are some provisions that pertain to the zoning board. Mobile vendor ordinance is something that we recommend looking into this year, as well as, you might recall, the driveway expansion. We've kind of been pushing that along. Hopefully, we can get a fuller board and address that again. And then transparency requirements that were, Planning Commission conducted research in 2022, so it's just more of a follow-through item on that one. If there's any items that this board thinks they would like to add to that, you can recommend adding. We can make that edit and then edit that before we submit it to Planning Commission, or to City Council as well.
Yes, Ms.
When are you submitting this to City Council? Is it going to, are you doing it for this agenda or a little bit further down?
There's no time limit per se. I would say the sooner in the year, the better, but it doesn't have to be this next agenda for them. It probably wouldn't be the next agenda for them, since it's
Okay.
next week. It'd probably be their April meeting.
Okay. You're looking for a motion? Take a motion. I'd like to move to forward the 2023 Planning and Zoning Report to the City Council with our approval. I'll take a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Board Member Burley?
Agree.
Chair Farina?
Agree?
Board Member Goodell?
Agree.
Board Member Menendez?
Agreed.
Monthly zoning report, planning and zoning report.
All right, back again. So I do have a correction on the hockey land. The temporary C of O was actually extended to March 18th, not the 16th. Yesterday at Planning Commission, they did get approval for the modification of their special land use so that they are able to utilize their drive-through. The Utica Road Strip Mall, that's the car wash that's being demolished. They are currently applying for demolition permits, so that's in the works. They're finalizing a couple of things with engineering, and then they should be good to get building permits as well. The sign variance that this board approved last meeting, which was in January, the sign permit has been obtained, and it's constructed. I'm sure some of you have seen it as you've driven by. And the one everyone's talking about, sheets. So the sheets will be returning. It's likely May. They are currently in the process of working out their conditional rezoning agreement with the city attorney's office. Any questions?
I'm going to open up for comments. I'd first like to say thank you, Mr. Goodell, for serving what you did. Congratulations on your new job. You know,
I appreciate it.
it's everything. We appreciate all your time that you put in for us. So thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Burley, anything?
Nope.
I share the same sentiments. Thank you for your time. It was great serving with you, and we'll miss you.
Madam Planning Chairman, why don't you tell us what happened at the planning meeting last night?
That's what you get for coming.
Kathy Zarnecki, 31827 Pam Court. We did
We
approve the big boy drive-through,
Right.
and hopefully that goes well, and hopefully I get my bike racks up like they're supposed to be up there. We did interview Mr. Teller, and we made a recommendation to City Council to grant an appointment to Trevor Teller to our Planning Commission, so we welcome him. And I think that is all that was on the agenda, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
March 11th is the training meeting at 6:30. It's going to be a joint meeting, so we'll be able to exchange ideas with the Planning Commission directly now on what we're going to go through.
It's an open meeting, so anyone interested in all of our boards, please come. It'll give you a general overview as to.
All right. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
In terms of the training materials, when we had the training seminar previously, we got the booklet, the one that we still operate out of. Will something like that be put out again so our new board members, as they come on board,
Take care, Dave.
can walk away with that training material and we'll have enough for a master?
Yes, we are, my office is, we're actually discussing it, the logistics today. We're going to prepare them and provide them. I believe we will also be updating, if you all still have your booklets
Yes.
or your binders, if you
Yes.
could bring them.
Okay.
Because we can provide updates. I believe the ordinance might have a couple of updates since the last time you received them, and then as well as, we provide the member list,
Right.
the dates, all those types of
So
things.
you want us to bring them?
Yes, if
Okay.
you have them,
Yeah.
because we can update some of that stuff for you, and then we will also be bringing new binders for new members since then, and things like that. And then I believe Lauren's office is also going to be bringing copies of the master plan as well.
If that's incentive to come, you get your own bound copy.
You mean like that?
Awesome.
You can have two now.
All right. Well, this one says draft on it, so.
The official one, yeah.
All right. Any other comments? Anybody? Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
All, did you want? You went like this.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
I was turning it off.
okay,
We need a second.
I'll second it.
okay. Motion to adjourn has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're dismissed. Thank you, everybody.